Hello, everyone. My name is Aisha Langford, and I'm the founder of Funeral Syllabus, where the motto is make a plan, keep the peace, leave a legacy. Today, I'll be talking with Martin Simenc, founder of Home Safety Services in Burlingame, California. Their mission is to increase the quality of life for seniors and enhance their ability to live at home as independently as possible. The goal of today's podcast is to explore different ways that people can make their homes safer as they age in place. So, Mr. Simenc, can you start by telling us a little bit about yourself and what led you into the field of home safety and accessibility?
First, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate the opportunity. In terms of background and how I ended up in the home accessibility space, really stems from personal experience. And the most significant event was my father having a serious stroke about 30 years ago, which left him with some mobility challenges and physical limitations. And because of my engineering construction background and familiarity, I was able to make some really simple yet very meaningful modifications for him around the home that really made a difference in the quality of his life. And as such, that kind of was the trigger to prompt a career change for me. And since then, we've obviously founded a company. We've helped over 50,000 folks now with similar, simple, practical, cost-effective, yet very meaningful home modifications to help them, age in place as independently and as safely as possible in the location of their choosing.
Okay. And so, as you've mentioned, you've worked for years helping people make their homes safer as they age. What are the most common risks or challenges that you see in the average home that people often overlook?
Okay, so the most common challenge or hazard is that risk of falling, right? Because that's going to be that life-changing event that most often occurs for folks and can lead to a negative spiral of subsequent health events and reductions in quality of life. So we're really trying to prevent either that first fall or the subsequent fall from occurring, or to minimize the impacts of those falls. And so in terms of what's the most common home accessibility modification, by far it's grab bars in the shower.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
and that is the one that, has the most consumer awareness, and in turn is kind of our leading solution that we provide by far.
Okay. And when should families start thinking about home safety modifications? I think sometimes it's usually after a fall or if there's a mobility issue, but should it be part of a proactive aging in place plan? When should we think about it?
It's a great, great question. And when we started the business, I really thought that a large percentage of folks would be doing this proactively. Uh, but human nature has a different opinion, and the tendency is to be very reactive for these things. So we would love folks to do these things very early on, because frankly, at every stage of life, having adequate support and safety as you're transitioning through a home, whether it's getting in and out of the shower or up and down the stairs, it's important for everybody. And if there's an appropriate railing or grab bar at those locations, people of every age will use them. But the sad reality is that from our business perspective, it's generally folks that are, 70s, 80s, 90s that are having or recovering from a medical crisis of one sort or another. That's the reality, but boy, we would sure love to encourage folks to be proactive.
Okay. And I actually wanted to piggyback off of that response. So if someone, say, doesn't have a current crisis, and let's just say they're 50 years old or 60 years old, can they just reach out to you and say, hey, can you walk through my house and make some recommendations? What can they do kind of early on to help plan?
Absolutely. So, and we very much encourage that. And on occasion, we do get folks being proactive like that. And in those situations, we're going to make observations, many of which will be helpful to them immediately. Again, I refer to the stairs because uh, falls on stairs are serious for anyone of any age. And we can very aesthetically either add a secondary railing or add two railings to a set of stairs that doesn't have any rails in a very aesthetic manner, make them look like they've always been there, always part of the home. And it makes a huge improvement in the safety of those steps, not only for the residents, but also for anybody coming to visit as well. And same thing with things in the bathroom. Grab bars these days don't have to be institutional looking any longer. And
Okay.
we don't need lots of bars in a shower. We don't need to clutter it up. Typically, just two bars will be sufficient for most applications to ensure that somebody's going to be able to get in, get out, and bathe safely without slipping and falling.
Okay. And we've already mentioned a couple of things like grab bars, but what are some of the most effective and affordable changes that can make a big difference in safety and independence for older adults? If there's anything in addition to grab bars, and I think you said railings for the stairs, are there other things that can be very helpful and affordable?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's really a broad spectrum of things, but the railings and the grab bars are two of the primary categories. And let me just bridge or reinforce the railings discussion because so often homes might have railings at the primary set of stairs going from first floor to second floor, but then they won't have any railings going from, say, the kitchen down into the garage. And that's where a lot of falls can take place. So it's any set of stairs throughout the interior and exterior of the home that really need to have attention to make sure that there's adequate support for folks coming and going there. And
Okay.
in terms of the broader, range of solutions out there, it really depends upon a person's individual capabilities at the given time. If folks are having issues getting up and down from chairs, transferring in and out of position from bed to chair or bed to standing, there's a whole spectrum of support solutions, transfer solutions, again, that can have minimal aesthetic impact, but create great support at any point throughout the home that folks are having challenges.
Okay. And I think for a lot of people, they're thinking dollar signs.
Yeah.
So home modifications can add up, or doing any type of renovation or anything to your house can add up. How do you help families prioritize what to do first? And are there any funding options or resources to help people fund these modifications, or is it really like self-pay?
Great questions, and two huge questions, frankly. So I'll try to do them both justice. In terms of helping folks prioritize, that's what we do every day. Okay, we can, uh, at least for our company, our technicians that are visiting are real experts, both in assessing the home, assessing the individual for what their needs are, as well as knowing the appropriate solutions and how to securely install them. So that's what they're doing each and every day is assessing the risk environment that they encounter and identifying and prioritizing which issues are the most important and pressing for individuals to address. We present those findings and recommendations to the individuals and to the family and collaborate with them to make sure that we're on the same page and hopefully end up in consensus. If we're not able to do everything on the list, at least make sure that we're taking care of the most critical things.
Okay. And you also mentioned this earlier about their very, I guess, now contemporary looking
Mhm.
options, but sometimes people resist changes because they don't want their house to look medical or like they're in a hospital ward. So, how do you balance safety with maintaining a home's warmth and style and not making people feel stigmatized like they're in a medical facility?
Great. Yeah, we're really conscious of that. And fortunately, for probably 80, 90% of our solutions, we can incorporate them into the existing aesthetic of the home without causing a significant visual impact at all. Whether that's matching the finishing on fixtures in bathrooms or matching stain colors when we're working on adding stair railings or walker steps or some other modifications like that. So 80%, 90% of the time, we're able to fit these things in pretty seamlessly. There are a handful of the more advanced modifications that are going to have an aesthetic impact, but even there, we work with folks to determine, the best location, both logistically and from a comfort standpoint. And we talked off camera previously about how modular wheelchair ramps might have a somewhat institutional look because of their kind of aluminum.
Right.
But oftentimes that ramp doesn't have to be at the front of the home. We work with folks to assess to see, well, maybe it would work better in the garage. Maybe it would work better going out the back door if there's a nice pathway, all-weather pathway from the back of the yard to the front. So we definitely work with folks, keeping in mind that aesthetic impact, but still prioritizing safety as the most important decision point.
Okay. And so my next question is really about family dynamics. So some families have adult children who are trying to proactively talk to their parents about making their home safer. But we want to have, and I'm an adult child, we want to have those conversations in a way that doesn't feel intrusive or disrespectful because they are our parents, but we also care about our parents and we want to have these conversations ideally before there's some kind of crisis or a fall. So what advice would you have for families in general to have these conversations where we're respecting our parents and our elders and older adults in the family, but also trying to be supportive and helpful for safety reasons?
Perfect. Another really important aspect of this, Aisha. So thank you for identifying it. So my basic advice is invite in an objective expert third party to the
Hmm.
process. And that's a role that we play. And because we come in the door and we don't have a history of either sibling relationships or family dynamics, and we're experts, we might make the same exact recommendation that the adult children are making, but because it comes from our mouths, from our perspective, uh, the parents or the individuals will hear it differently and perceive it differently. And so we're happy to come into that situation and truly be the objective expert. And it really goes a long way to getting everybody on the same page in terms of what needs to be done, what the priorities are, and what the timeline should be.
Okay, great. And then just looking ahead, what innovations or trends are you maybe most excited about in home safety and accessibility? So I don't follow that industry, but I'm guessing they have conferences and kind of new things that are coming to the market. So is there anything in particular that you're excited about or trends that you're seeing?
Yeah, so there's certainly product evolution, and the good news is in the long history that we've been engaged in this business, we've definitely seen more aesthetic and more functional solutions coming to the market, and so that's great. We've seen some technology solutions come, but frankly,
Okay.
they haven't really gotten wide market acceptance as of yet, but we're
Okay.
hoping that they're finally going to have some impact in the coming years. But frankly, the thing I'm looking forward to most is just greater consumer awareness and greater funding available to perform these modifications.
Right. So far, do people, for the most part, have to pay for these out of pocket, or does insurance or Medicare, are there any, I guess, situations where there is a third party paying for it, or is it mostly families paying it on their own?
It's a great question. And right now it's pretty balanced. It's roughly half that's private pay, direct to consumer, and half that a third party is paying for it.
Oh,
Traditionally, the most generous third party payer has been the federal government through its VA benefit program. So veterans have had a wonderfully generous home modifications benefit for many, many years. But some insurances, and this varies from state to state dramatically. So certain parts of the country have had generous benefits. California has just recently been getting an increase in benefit for Medi-Cal recipients, not yet Medicare recipients,
Okay.
but we're hoping that over time, more and more of these either grant programs, insurance programs, or government programs will expand coverage to include home modifications as well.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing your time and expertise. I forgot I should have sent this question to you in advance, but I'm in Michigan,
Yes.
and hopefully people will watch this video from all parts of the United States. So if they're not in Northern California, but they want to find a home safety and accessibility service similar to yours, what are the Google search words they should use? Or is there like a national organization? How can somebody find a company like yours, say if they live in Florida or Louisiana or New York or Montana?
Great question. So, in terms of search terms, it's probably home accessibility, home modifications
Okay.
are the key ones. In terms of networks, we have an informal national network. So I welcome anyone to contact me, and I'll be happy to put them in touch with a provider that I'm aware of if I happen to have a relationship with somebody in their geography. But to this point, there's not a national clearinghouse of providers. But I just encourage folks to work with the folks that are as credentialed and as experienced as possible, because a lot of folks are jumping into this space as we speak. The credentialing is somewhat limited. And so we just want folks to work with folks that have experience, licensing that's compliant with state regulations, hopefully certifications, terms of being a certified aging in place specialist, a certified environmental access consultant, and ideally a company that has jumped through the hoops to become accredited by the Joint Commission, which means that they're held to the same patient safety standards as a hospital or a healthcare provider. So if folks are going to work with someone in another region, we just encourage them to get the most qualified person possible to do so.
Okay, great. And for everyone watching, we will have Home Safety Services, their website, and the link in the show notes. And so you can just scroll down and click on it and get more information. So again, Mr. Simenc, thank you so much for your time and expertise. And I really appreciate this opportunity to hopefully raise consumer awareness about these issues and hopefully get families and friends talking about these topics before there's a crisis. Maybe talk about it at Thanksgiving or Christmas or the next time you go out to the movies and say, hey, I saw this video. What do you think about our homes and what we should be doing as we age? That's maybe not the most exciting conversation starter, but it'll get people's attention. So thank you again for your time.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.